Hello and welcome to Courage to Overcome podcast. I talk about emotionally toxic people and relationships with a biblical and psychological perspective. I also upload inspirational and motivational content. So if you like that kind of stuff, please subscribe to my channel. Today I want to talk about overcoming failure, difficulties, and disappointments. Your past does not determine your future. There was an experiment conducted by scientists where 4 monkeys were put in a cage. In the middle of the cage was a pole going upwards with bananas at the top of the pole. The more ambitious of the monkeys climbed up the pole, but were met with an electric shock when they reached the top. However, because they were hungry, they kept on trying to climb the pole, only to be met again and again with electric shocks. In the end, those who had been shocked a few times stopped trying and retired to one corner of the cage. One of the monkeys was taken away and replaced with a new monkey who did not know about the shocks. After a while, each time they brought a new monkey in, the others would pull him down and indicate to him what the perils were. "We've been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, don't go up there. Electric shocks at the top, don't even try it." The original monkeys that had received the shock eventually were removed from the cage. None of the new monkeys had ever experienced the electric shock themselves. Meanwhile, the electric shock had been removed. The original monkeys failed to achieve. The monkeys left failed to achieve. This is a very deep lesson. Don't be influenced by other people's failures. I know that we need to learn from other people's mistakes, but just because they could not do it doesn't mean that you won't either. If God has put a dream in your heart, that means there is a plan in place to pursue it. You just need to find the right timing and season for your dreams to become reality. Learn from the monkeys. The shock was removed, but no one attempted to retrieve the bananas because of the past. Even the monkeys that had not experienced the past failure still did not go for the monkeys, even though it was the right season and the right timing. The shock was removed. They were crippled by other people's or other monkeys' experiences. I know what I'm talking about because it's happened to me. I had a dream of starting something new and I attempted to start the project, but everything fell apart. I was so discouraged. I just became, really down and upset and depressed, and I didn't want to try anything again. Even to try anything new, I just thought, been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. I had to shake myself out of it, and I said to myself, I will not be another casualty of depression. I'm not going to be part of another statistic. I'm checking myself out of that. But that dream is still in my heart. I am moving forward. The past or past failures, if you allow it, will keep you from the best God has for you. Everybody fails in life. It's what you do with failure that will determine who you are and who you will be. You need to learn from it, what you did wrong, what you can put right. Learn from your mistakes and failures. I made mistakes and I've learned from them. Your past does not determine your future. The electric shock was removed and the new monkeys would not attempt to climb to get the bananas because the old monkeys discouraged them from doing so. They meant well. They didn't want them to get hurt, but they stopped them from trying and attempting to achieve. So according to the old adage, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Sometimes persistence is the key, as was in the case in the next story. Keep on hoping, keep on believing. When we look at some of the people in the Bible, we view their lives as success stories. For example, David, Daniel, Joseph. But let's just imagine for a few minutes, if we didn't know the ending of their story, how would we have judged them? Let's, for example, look at the life of Joseph and his success and failures. Genesis 37. So let's look at his life. Joseph is loved by his father, and his father gives him a beautiful coat. He dreams that he will be someone great one day and his family will bow down to him. So we can count that particular time of his life as kind of like a success, right? So his brothers hate his guts. His brothers rip off his coat and sell him to foreigners. So that part of his life, we can look at it and say, okay, that's a failure. So he sold to a man called Potiphar, a rich leader. So that's a failure. He gets promoted to handling his affairs, Potiphar's affairs. That's a success. Potiphar's wife wants to sleep with Joseph, but he resists, so she falsely accuses him of rape. A failure. He's arrested and jailed for a crime he didn't commit. That looks like another failure. Joseph meets Pharaoh's butler in prison, interprets his dream, and arranges for the butler to get Joseph's release from prison. Success. But the butler forgets, and Joseph languishes in prison. Failure. Finally, Joseph gets released from prison and becomes Egypt's new prime minister. Success story. He had many success in his life, but he also had many failures. But in the end, he became very successful. He was made Prime Minister of Egypt in spite of all the failings that he had to go through. So persistence and determination is the key. Let's look at some people in history that became quite successful even though they had many failures. So let's have a look at Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is rated as one of America's greatest presidents. His image is on Mount Rushmore among the other great presidents of America. Did you know he had many failures in his career before he was elected as president in 1860? Here is a list of his achievements and failures. 1831, he lost his job. 1832, defeated in run for Illinois state legislature. 1833, failed in business. 1834, elected to Illinois state legislature. 1835, sweetheart died. 1836, had a nervous breakdown. 1838, defeated in run for Illinois House Speaker. 1843, defeated in run for nomination for U.S. Congress. 1846, elected to Congress. 1848, lost renomination. 1849, rejected for land officer position. 1854, defeated in run for U.S. Senate. 1856, defeated in run for nomination for Vice President. 1858, defeated again in run for U.S. Senate. 1860, elected President. So Abraham Lincoln, he was persistent. He did not give up on his dream, and neither should you. We look at Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. When interviewed about his failure, said, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that don't work." I believe that's the attitude we need to have, especially in this new year. Don't see it as a failure. Anything that you're doing, don't see it as a failure, but as a stepping stone to success. Orville and Wilbur Wright invented the aeroplane. They failed on numerous occasions, but kept on experimenting. It was their failures that made them successful. Today, we are enjoying the result of their persistence and determination. Sometimes persistence is the key to success. For example, when we continue to fill in applications for a new job, even though we fail at the application or interview stage, we continue in the hope that eventually we will get a new job. Walt Disney was told by a movie executive earlier on in his career that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Can you imagine that? Today, he holds the record for the most Oscars won by any individual. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of his time, has said, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I have been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Winston Churchill, who was one of United Kingdom's greatest prime minister, defined success as the ability to move from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. A Chinese proverb says that failure is not falling down. Failure is refusing to get up. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid of failure. So many do not try because they're afraid they'll fail. Failure is not getting it right, but failure to try and to start again. I was in that position. I was afraid to try again. Failure is refusing to try again. So don't let the enemy remind you of your past. When he tries to remind you of your past, remind him of his future. In Revelations 20 verse 10, the devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Don't let the past determine your future. God has said this concerning you. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. For a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity. So be wise and just know your time and your season, and continue trying. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. I hope to meet with you again in the next episode. Stay blessed.